In the book The Creative Gene, a collection of essays and criticisms of his favorite stories, video game director Hideo Kojima shares how even during the busiest work periods, when the games he's creating are nearing the end of their development cycle, he always takes the time out of his day to physically enter and stroll through a bookstore, peruse the collection, and find a few books that interest him. He explains how only 10% of the books he chooses will actually satisfy him in the end, but that the pursuit is always worth it, as the human connection that is made through a good story is invaluable. On the subject of how stories connect people together, Hideo Kojima has this to say: "We are alone, but we are connected. The intermediaries of those connections are memes, a concept introduced by the evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins. Whereas genes are biological nature, memes are units of information, such as cultural ideas, customs, and values. I think stories could be fairly described as memes given form. As stories are passed from one generation to another, and as they are written and read, culture is carried forward." I understand that that's all a bit confusing, especially since what we consider a meme to be is almost exclusively goofy cat videos with Vine boom sound effects.
You're scaring me!
But when Richard Dawkins first coined the term, what he referred to as a meme was simply a bit of information, which could be anything ranging from broad cultural values, as stated by Mr. Kojima, but also information relating to individuals as well. A meme could be an expression of one's own perspective shaped by their personal history, their ideas, their feelings, their desires. You see, every person is basically an isolated island. Whether you like it or not, your thoughts, your feelings, and your memories are all stuck inside your own head, and no one else has access to them. You can express what you're thinking and feeling to others with language, but at the end of the day, our language is painfully inadequate at allowing us to communicate ourselves in full. But that's not to say that we don't have the mechanisms to make up for this limitation. Leonid Perlovsky, a Harvard research professor, wrote an academic paper titled Cognitive Function of Music. And while it posits a theory relating to music specifically, I think it can be brought in to explain the function of art as a whole. The split is considered of the vocalizations of proto-humans into two types, one less emotional and more concretely semantic, evolving into language, and the other preserving emotional connections along with semantic ambiguity, evolving into music. Opposing, but no less powerful, mechanisms required evolution of music toward more differentiated and refined emotionality. The hypothesis is that the fundamental cognitive function of music is to help resolve cognitive dissonances created by language. What Perlovsky is saying in basic terms is that as we humans evolve to become more intelligent, the manner by which we communicate split into two paths. Language as the vehicle by which we convey specific or explicit meaning, and art as the vessel by which we connect emotionally. And as our language became more powerful and increased in its complexity, our art also became more refined in turn. Maybe you think this theory doesn't hold a single drop of water, and maybe it doesn't, but I believe there's a truth to it that is self-evident. Think about it. What is most likely going to elicit a strong emotional response out of you? Someone, maybe a close friend, attempting to verbally explain how they are feeling or what they have been going through, or listening to a song, reading a poem, observing a painting, or playing a video game. While you might relate to what your friend is saying because they're close to you and you care for them, chances are you're probably not going to feel what they're feeling. It's funny then how we can be moved to experience real joy, excitement, sadness, loneliness, and all the other states of being simply by consuming art most often made by complete strangers. In this way, art is kind of like a bridge that connects us together. It gives us the means by which we learn of each other and build empathy. Or as Hideo Kojima might say, art is the vessel that transmits a meme from person to person. I think when we understand that the function of art is communication, it becomes evident as to why AI cannot truly create art. Because AI art is made without the input of an artist. AI can create a piece that is a bastardized amalgamation of existing work, but it can't create something out of nothing like a person can. And without the decision making that captures a person's ideas, values, and emotions, how could AI art be communicating anything? There's literally nothing being said. Before I continue, I should address two counterpoints. As right about now, some people might be saying, well, to make AI art, you still need to work with the algorithm and search with the right parameters until you find something satisfactory. That's still a creative process regardless of how quick or simple it is. I'm not sure there's anybody that actually believes that, but I guess I feel the need to say it anyway. But no, using an AI is so far removed from the actual artistic process that the notion is laughable. Using an AI to make art is quite literally the exact same thing as searching on Google, scrolling through the images until you find something you like, then downloading it and calling it your own work. That's not creating, that's collecting, and furthermore, it's stealing if you claim it as your own. It's like taking a photograph and putting it through a paint filter on Photoshop and then calling it your own painting. Like, that's absurd, right? The reason being that the process of making art requires hundreds, if not thousands, of decisions, ranging from the medium itself, color choices, composition, where to place each and every stroke of paint or line of ink. And it's only through that deliberation that an artist communicates themselves. And without those choices, there's simply no room for someone to imbue any significance into their work. Another point I've heard in defense of AI art is that a lot of the stuff it's created is emotionally evocative or pleasant to look at. And I certainly can't deny that. A lot of the images produced by an AI are crazy looking, and they are certainly capable of eliciting an aesthetic response. But I would say that the ability for something to have an aesthetic does not necessarily require it to be art, or even human-made. I think there are plenty of examples of things in nature that we find beautiful regardless of the fact that their existence is either incidental or weren't made to be pleasing to us. For example, there's channels here on YouTube of guys that explore abandoned places. You'll be surprised at how beautiful and haunting a dilapidated factory can be. Buildings with purely utilitarian designs, eroded and dissolved by nature. They are beautiful in their own way, despite the fact that I imagine very few people would look at those places and call them art. I guess I would like to end this video with a short statement of what I think the future of AI will hold for art. There's been a lot of worry and outcry in artist circles about the potential that AI has for replacing artists in both the independent commission space and the professional world. But as time has gone on, the less concerned I've been about it. There's a trend on TikTok recently where users will use AI to convert their cats and dogs into anime girls or waifus or something like that. And that just made me so happy to see. Because yeah, that's about as useful as AI is for people, isn't it? The next great leap forward in technology that's supposed to render traditional artists obsolete. And it's being relegated to this stupid crap.
Damn!
And I think that's the case because people recognize its lack of authenticity. Without the touch of an artist, it looks bland, homogenized, quite literally soulless. And people have recognized this for a while. Think about how long paint or sketch filters have existed. People have been able to convert their images into drawings or paintings with Photoshop and Snapchat filters for quite a while now, and yet no one ever seems to use them. Traditional drawing and painting hasn't been hurt in the slightest, and the demand for that art hasn't decreased at all. Because people can recognize what's authentic, and they crave something that speaks from one person to another. Because people desire connection, or as Hideo Kojima put it while describing how art has inspired him, the memes these stories communicated to me provided the energy I used to create and to live. Thanks for watching, see you next time.